Well, hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to another episode of the Reforming Nerdom podcast. I am your host for this episode, Jordan Cecile, and I am joined, as is often the case, by the one and the only P. Nate, aka Pastor Nate, aka Nathaniel P. Wright. Nate, how are you?
Doing great. Can't wait to talk about more nerdy stuff.
What is your gamer tag? Do you have like a consistent gamer tag that you use when you used to play like Destiny and anything? Was there like the one that you used growing up?
Yeah, so I always, I don't ask me where I got it, but Contagion was always my
Okay.
gamer tag. It was never taken, so I didn't have to put a bunch of numbers and stuff beside it. I just thought it always looked
Wow,
cool.
just like a single word, eh?
Yeah.
You actually got away with it.
That's
So
amazing.
you didn't have any like numbers in there or weird symbols as no? Okay.
No, like if I ever had to, it was it's not like a common name or, whatever. It doesn't sound as cool, maybe as like the Lionheart or something, but, yeah, if anything, I'd just put like an underscore or something after it. But yeah, it was always just Contagion.
So what is very surprising is that you got Contagion, but when I tried Seshmeal, I had to put a number because somebody already had Seshmeal.
Well, there you go. Such is life. Why didn't
So,
you go
like-
with Nadraj?
Because I think I had said this before, because that guy tried to make fun of my name in high school. And I was like, well, because I don't care, I'm just going to lean into it and I'm just going to be Seshmeal and show you that I really don't care what you think. So yeah, that was my sticking it to that guy. So, and
You
we're
showed
also
him.
joined. I did. I feel good about it still to this day. And we are also joined by the one and the only Ben of the Cloth, aka Benjamin, aka Ben Emery. Ben, how are you?
Doing well. My gamer tag was equally uninspiring. It was Emery Ben 10. So
Oh,
there it is.
That one's
That's
super
the-
boring.
Yeah.
yeah. No, that's the one thing I always used to have fun with was playing Call of Duty, and you would come up with your squad name, and it would always be something cool. Or what was it? It wasn't a clan. Was it squad? Is that what it was
Yeah, I
in
think it
Call
was
of
Squad
Duty?
name, yeah.
Yeah, I never really
squad
played,
name?
but yeah, I played Battlefield, and you could do like squad names as well.
Yeah. Well, listeners, welcome to the Reforming Nerdom podcast, where we like to get together and wander about discussing nerd culture from an unapologetically Christian worldview. Today, got a few things that we want to talk about. One of them is going to be, and you could probably discern from the title, we're going to be talking about our new, I don't want to say obsession, because obsession seems to, I think, imply some sin. There's no sin in this. It's our
Pure joy.
new,
Good old fashioned fun.
just good
That's all.
times of Star Wars Unlimited. Ben has created a monster, really, and but we're going to get to that in just a second. But one of the things I wanted to do before we get into our topic of the show was just update you guys on our movie predictions. So now that it's summertime, they're just flying in, all these new movies that are coming out, which is exciting. I mean, we got some good movies to watch. The last few, what was it? Thunderbolts, and then Mission Impossible came out. I think that was last week, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, a
something
week
like
or
that.
two ago.
And then just this last week, it was Karate Kid Legends. And just so you know, listeners and viewers, we are going to be reviewing this. We just unfortunately could not make the time work. Nate was out of town. Ben and I just had other things that just unfortunately prevented us from seeing it already. But we're going to see it, hopefully, Lord willing, this weekend, so that next week we're going to provide the Reforming Nerdom analysis of Karate Kid Legends. But we do have the Rotten Tomato scores. And so just so people know, what do we got here? Nate, you had predicted that it would have a critic score of 83 and an audience score of 96.
High
Benjamin,
expectations.
you had predicted a 72 and an 85. I had predicted a 75 and a wait. Sorry, I was in the wrong one. I was looking at the bottom one. I'm going to take a step back. So 83.96. That's right. 72.85. I was 86 and 94. The one underneath was 67, and it's like, there's no way I was predicting this movie would have a 67. And then Parker was an 85 and a 95. So the results are in, and it had, actually, do you guys know? Have you checked?
Not one
Any
sweet
idea?
clue.
Critic score of 58.
Ooh,
Ooh, I know. And an audience score of 91. So for this particular one, Parker got 5 points. He predicted a 95 for the audience. He was way off for the critic. Nate, you got 5 points because you were close for the audience as well, off for the critic. And Ben, you got 2 points because you were within 10 for the audience. And then I got 5 points as well. And so right now, updated movie predictions for 2025. Parker has 12 points. I have Ben and Parker both have 12 points. I have 19 points, and Nate has 21 points.
Wow.
World champ.
So
Unbelievable.
Nate is still winning. We're gonna see what we can do about that. But
I still think there should be points for closest, even if you're not within 10.
So I would have been within the closest on this one.
Yeah, I don't like
So
that rule then.
I'm okay with this.
No,
So,
on the I mean, like the critic score, like none of us got the critic score.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
no,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Well, because I was the
'cause then
worst,
that would
I
be
don't,
me.
I don't
That's
really.
why I'm saying
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'm
I
shocked
was
the critics
the-
hated it that much.
Yeah. What did I don't even know. Like, what did they say? If there's anything here that we can see,
It probably just wasn't woke enough for them.
What did
probably.
what I mean, like Jackie Chan is quite literally a communist, so I don't know.
And it just came out, I think I saw today that his dad was like a spy for the Chinese government.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
like
he's literally like a CPP or not CPP, that's not CCP like card carrying rah go communist.
China.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
That's unfortunate.
that is yeah, it is. So here it is. The reasons why. This is a bit of a summary, but the reasons why. You know what? Should we hold on this? I think we should hold off.
probably
on this
should.
Yeah,
for,
sure.
For
Probably
right.
let's hold on.
We'll talk about the critics, our thoughts, and everything next week when we finally get a chance to see it. But I'm excited, even if it does have a crazy communist in it. The fact that liberal critics didn't like it makes me think that it wasn't heavy enough on the
There's hope.
communism. Yeah.
There's hope.
So
There's hope.
yeah. So okay.
Hey,
Well, yeah.
Speaking of things we've done previously, I know you have other news, Jordan, but I thought I'd throw this up there. I don't know if either of you guys know who John Harris is from Conversations That Matter podcast?
Yes.
So I thought it was funny that literally just yesterday, so our episode on the Big Bang Theory dropped on Friday, and then yesterday, Monday, he tweeted out with a picture of like a ad for the Big Bang Theory, and just put, "Is there a show that was more subversive than this?" Which I thought was interesting. I mean, John Harris doesn't know who we are, but so one of our patrons tagged us in it and just said, Reforming Nerdom would like to have a word with you. And I saw you mention that Friends is far more subversive, Jordan. But I just thought it was interesting that seemingly out of nowhere, John tweeted that out after our episode dropped. But I guess, for any of the people who follow us, there's probably some overlap in terms of conservative Christian, Reformed Christian podcasters. So just as a quick sort of apologetic for the Big Bang Theory, we did not at all deny that there were subversive qualities in it. But I think to call it the most subversive show, I'd love to have a debate on that one. I'd love to hear what John's thoughts were on that, because as you said, like, Friends normalized hookup culture and viewing of pornography and all this kind of stuff. Big Bang Theory, I mean, it essentially normalized nerd stuff. And as we've been
like
saying,
some of it's terrible. Some nerd culture is awful.
Is terrible, absolutely. But as we, I think, have defended quite well on this podcast, that it's not all inherently wrong.
So my argument would be Howard Wolowitz is the worst character on the Big Bang Theory, and is the character where, like, going back and watching it now, I'm just like, oh, like I can't even hardly watch early season scenes where he's in it, like before he and Bernadette get married, and he's like a total sleazebag. But every character in Friends is Howard Wolowitz.
Exactly. Yeah. That's right.
Well, And like, I'm
So, I mean,
curious what he
I would assume that John, like, I can imagine that this statement by him is just hyperbole and, like, he probably just thinks it's a subversive show and said it that way, which I'm totally fine with. But if he actually does think it's the most subversive show ever, I do think he's wrong.
am I just not understanding the word subversive? Because when I hear subversive, I think it's like it's trying to push something in such a way that's not immediately obvious,
Yeah,
right?
well, so
Where
yeah,
it's
like, subversive would be trying to normalize
so like,
things
what are you
that are
So my thought is
inherently
that
sinful.
my thinking is because the show itself is called The Big Bang Theory, they're not being subversive and trying to, like, get evolutionary theory into the minds of their audience, like, it's out there, and like we talked about, I think actually there's a lot of good things as they display these quote unquote academically smart individuals who completely lack wisdom. And so from our perspective, it's like their worldview doesn't actually work because, all their intelligence on, the way they read the world has ill-equipped them to live in the actual world. So I just think I think it probably has something to do with the fact that, the Big Bang Theory and the evolutionary stuff and all the science. And I would just say that I think that I don't think that was subversive at all. I think they knew exactly what they were doing, and I think that the audience was not tricked into kind of by osmosis pulling anything in. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting that he tweeted that out right after our episode came out. So I thought I'd mention it.
I would legitimately love to have that conversation with him and
Yeah.
have him try to show that Friends was not the most subversive show ever.
Yeah, like,
I
And we
don't
think
like
that
John
is
Harris, just an FYI, in case
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
anybody.
no,
yeah.
yeah, oh, yeah, no issues
I
whatsoever, yeah,
yeah, I think it is an objective
yeah,
fact that Friends is the worst.
yeah,
We should
objective.
just try to host a debate. Like, he hosts some pretty serious debates on his show. Like, it would be great to have, like, John Harris versus Ben Emery on
Yeah.
Friends or Big Bang Theory, most
Yeah.
subversive sitcom
It'd be
ever.
a really quick debate because I would not have a lot to say.
But it would be factually correct what you had to
Yeah,
say.
but I would be the most right.
I feel like Christian like, Reformed Christianity, of which we would consider ourselves to be a part of, probably could benefit from a few of those, like, I
Poorly.
Keith Foskey comes to mind as just being a guy who, okay, have him who, like Joe Boot and Keith Foskey, Star Wars or Superman or Star Trek or sorry, Star Wars or Star Trek, go. And, like, a legitimate debate on which
Yeah.
one
Yeah,
is better
like,
or which
with
one is
rebuttals,
yeah, oh,
with,
yeah. You kn
closing
well,
statements.
because we had quite
What's
the
funny is actually, interestingly, so I was at this, homeschooling conference that I was speaking at out, in Alberta, which is why I was out of town that Jordan mentioned earlier. But it was interesting because I was talking about education, and I had some questions about sort of the cultural collapse and decay that we're seeing going on. And I was talking about the myth of neutrality, right? That education's not neutral, which is a concept we've talked about a lot. But, it was interesting because I was talking about how seemingly neutral spaces have been taken away from our culture, right? So, like, where sports and education and entertainment seemed like they were neutral, now they're all, pushing an agenda more overtly. They were never neutral in the first place, but it's the facade of neutrality that's been taken away. So I was kinda talking about that. But it's interesting because I think in reformed circles, we can get so myopic, we can get so narrowly focused that we can bicker about things that actually shouldn't divide us as much as they do. And so I think that, like, some of those debates, like bringing back quote unquote neutral spaces within, like, reformed Christianity would be great. That's at the end of the day, Christian nationalists and the whatever, like, they don't have a champion between Batman and Superman. So yeah, let's have that debate and kind of give us a neutral space to have some fun in.
yeah,
I think that'd be actually beneficial.
yeah, I agree. Who would
All right,
you
let's do it.
if you could have a dream debate over, like, 2 pe like, Nate, is there somebody that comes to mind immediately? Somebody who's completely unreasonable to expect to be part of our debate that we eventually will host.
Like, I would love to like, if I'm just picking somebody to do a ridiculous debate, like, do I have to know, like, what they would actually like? Is it something they would actually want to debate, or I could just totally make it
Ah,
up?
make it up.
I would love to see James White versus Brian Sauvé on whether or not classical music or country music is better.
Oh
So,
boy.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, that'd be good.
All right,
Yeah.
just
listeners, let's
something.
make this happen.
Or
All right,
actually,
yeah,
you know what? I just saw, because I did see Brian Sauvé was going after anime not that long ago. He tweeted something out.
Yes.
Man, let's just
I
get
did.
Brian Sauvé versus Joshua Hames. Is anime objectively bad?
All right. So like no joke. Yes.
Yeah,
All
now
right.
you're doing admin online. I
All right.
think
Yep.
Brian would stand by that statement, but I don't think he cares enough about it that we couldn't just have a fun debate. You know
Oh
what I mean?
yeah, and just make sure that it's like this is light, be goofy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all
And those
right.
are two guys that I think really respect each other, so there would be no animosity.
All right. Well, Nate, you have
It sounds like a done
Brian's
deal to me.
yeah, you have Brian's email. I got Josh. We're listeners. You know what could we do to incentivize this? Yeah, the more. How can we do this? We want more Patreon subscribers. So if we hit or we get a certain number of likes, we'll do something to spice it up. We'll think about it, guys. If there's something that comes to mind, you let me know. If there's something we can do to get audience engagement to make this more likely to happen. But at the end of the day, I also, regardless, want it to happen. So, all right, we're gonna do that. All right. Well, why don't we, before we get into our topic of the show, let's just quickly hear from this week's sponsor.
Hey, Reforming Nerdom listeners. If you're the kind of nerd who fuels deep theological debates or marathon game nights with a great cup of coffee, you need to check out Cosmos Coffee Company. Cosmos Coffee Company is a Christian coffee roaster in White House, Tennessee, that provides freshly roasted coffee to customers all across the U.S. and Canada. Whether you're diving into your next deep theology study or prepping for an all-night board game marathon, Cosmos Coffee has you covered. They have 7 great flavors, including the Pilgrim's Roast, a smooth, light roast with notes of blackberry, honeysuckle, and butterscotch, the Renewal Roast, a sweet Ethiopian blend with strawberry, agave, and peach, and for something extra nerdy, the Falcondra Roast, a medium Colombian inspired by Out of the Silent Planet with rich flavors of chocolate, brown sugar, and citrus. And because you're part of our nerdy fellowship, they are offering 30% off your first order for Reforming Nerdom listeners. Just use the code REFORMNERDOM at checkout. So, if you want to level up your coffee game, go to cosmoscoffeecompany.com, that's Cosmos with a K, and use Reform Nerdom, no spaces, to save 30% on your first order. Cosmos Coffee Company. Coffee roasted well for His glory, for the kingdom.
Okay, well, welcome back, listeners. So for today's topic of the show, we are talking about Star Wars Unlimited. Now, Ben Jamin,
Yes,
you
sir.
were the one who got me onto this. I did not know this existed until, what would it have been? Maybe like 2 months ago? You started talking? Maybe a little longer.
It was like
Maybe a little
so
longer.
literally the first episode of this show that we recorded. I think you asked a question of like, what's kind of like a nerdy thing
Yeah.
that you're into right now, and
Yeah, you
I'm
did.
pretty sure that's
Yep.
what I said. So
Yeah.
whatever that
Okay.
was, that's when
Well,
I
I mean,
first
this
started.
is, I think this is our 29th. Is it our 30th? I can't remember off the top of my head, but we're getting close to 30 weeks consecutively.
Oof.
So that was a while back. And yeah, okay. So I guess I didn't really take it seriously. I didn't really heed your words until the last couple months, where then,
And look at all the time that you've wasted.
you know what? It has been wasted. I was like learning how to do a Rubik's Cube to no success.
I was just gonna say unsuccessfully.
That last one just keeps getting. There's like a thing in it. Okay, side tangent, real quick. Anybody who has tried to solve a Rubik's Cube knows this pain, where you get to the point where it's like, oh, I solved all the white, but then you realize that the colors are mixed up, so your red is with your green, or it's just, and then you have to start all over to get the silly thing lined up so that you have the proper one, because it has to be red with red, green with green, orange with orange, blah blah blah. And it is so frustrating when you get there. It's like, I don't, and then I stop and I'll go to it in another couple days because I just don't have patience to do it again. So anyways, Rubik's Cube. This game is more relaxing. It's
Yes.
looking at cards and ripping open a pack of cards is very therapeutic. I've been having a blast. And so Ben, myself, and buddy Josh, who we're actually going to have on the program hopefully in the next couple weeks to talk about just broadly tabletop card games, because he's actually a competitive flesh and blood player. And I mean, Ben, you saw when we played, it took him 5 seconds to figure out how to play, and he would probably dummy both of us if you gave him like 10 minutes to build his own deck. Like he just knows this stuff intuitively at this point. But anyways, I've been having a lot of fun in just buying the cards, collecting the cards. So Ben, why don't you even just give everybody a little bit of an overview of what even Star Wars Unlimited is?
Sure. So I got into this whole thing, I guess you could kind of say back 25 years ago or more, like 30 years ago when I was a kid. And there was a company called Decipher that created a Star Wars customizable card game that was in a few ways similar, but also like very, very different. And it had a short run where it was very successful and even competed with, Magic for a couple years in the late '90s in terms of popularity and sales and whatnot. And then just as the prequel Star Wars movies came out, I think they did, like, 1 or 2 sets of cards, uh, of that kinda era, and then, something happened with, like, the rights to Star Wars and blah, 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 the whole thing tanked, and that game disappeared forever. Amen. But me and my brothers played that game, we all had decks, we all had cards. I was super young, so I, like it was a lot more complex than Star Wars Unlimited is, so I did not really know what I was doing, but loved it. Just loved, like, rifling through the cards, like you say, ripping open packs, finding the characters that you loved and watched in the movies and stuff. So that I've always had an affinity for a Star Wars TCG. Me and my brother even a few years ago went on eBay and found a bunch of old cards and put some decks back together and played a few rounds and stuff. Then this game came out just about a year ago. I think just a little over a year ago, and me and my boys went and bought the, like, initial set starter pack, and away we went.
Nate, did you have some facts or stats for the game? Just like some of the background info on it. Did you have those
Yeah,
in front
just a
of you?
few little things. So like, so this new one, Star Wars Unlimited, was released in March 2024 by Fantasy Flight Games. And a couple of things like, so I don't know, I know probably a lot of our listeners would think when you're thinking of trading card games, you'd think of Pokemon. I never really got into it. That was kind of after my time, but a game I did play that I played quite a lot and spent a lot of money and time on, and even did some tournaments and stuff, was Magic: The Gathering. So that came out in 1993 from Wizards of the Coast, and then Pokemon came out in Japan in '96, but U.S. and North America release was 1999. So this is obviously coming out a lot later. But interestingly, like, just so people understand how big these things are, Magic: The Gathering in 2022 made $1.1 billion. And I couldn't find anything specific to Pokemon because it's such a massive, but Pokemon is over $1 billion a year as well. I don't think that's not all tied up in their trading card game. Obviously, that's like Pokemon Go and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But Star Wars Unlimited, so as I said, it came out in 2024. So in 2025, made 25 and a half million dollars. So obviously a lot smaller, but given the Magic: The Gathering didn't make its first million in profits until 4 years after its release. So all that to say, it's obviously starting off fairly well. And so I actually went out and got a couple starter decks for me and Judah. Judah had his birthday this week, so I included that as part of his gift so that I could validate going out and spending some money on this so I could get in on the action myself. Um, What I actually found that was really cool, so Magic the Gathering obviously has a really steep learning curve. It's almost like infinitely complex in its mechanics and stuff. Pokemon is obviously very much simpler. I found Star Wars is a little bit more middle ground, but way more forgiving. So like if anybody's played Magic the Gathering, because you have specific land cards called mana, you can either, be mana flooded or mana deprived, right? If you're just not drawing enough lands, you can't cast your spells, or if you only draw lands, then you don't have enough spells to play. Similarly, in Pokemon, they have energy cards that you attach to your Pokemon, so it's kind of a slow build up because you have to attach them to your Pokemon in order to do some of the bigger things. Whereas with the Star Wars Unlimited, because any card can be a resource, it's way more flexible and just every game kind of goes. So anyway, I just found it really interesting to compare it to those other trading card games and seeing I feel like they found a really good mechanic for the game. And I expect that it'll be, up making as much as these in a few years. There's already tournaments. So when we went in,
Oh, yeah.
I bought this from a store just around the corner from our church that I could walk to between meetings. And they have tournaments on Sundays. So obviously we won't go on Sunday, but I said to them, if you ever did like a kids night or something like that on a weeknight, let us know, because there's a few kids at our church who are getting into it. And so there's already tournaments and stuff like that started with this. So
Oh,
it's
yeah, I
I
quite
mean, they're
appreciate
right now they're doing so the way I can't remember what they call it. There's, oh, yeah, it's like planetary qualifiers. So they
Mm.
have, like, what it's like anyway, the way that their, like, tournament system goes, it's like planetaries and then something else, and, so, yeah, like, so it's like the Galactic Championship, and then to get into the Galactic Championship, you have to win a planetary qualifier, and so those are all going on right now. They have, like, the big 1K, 2K, 5K tournaments and all that stuff where you can win thousands of dollars. So it's already like hitting the ground running. It's nowhere even like remotely close to Magic or Flesh and Blood or any of those games. But they also like they underprinted, I think on purpose, just because their last game this company made from Star Wars, which was Star Wars Destiny, kind of fizzled out and people had a bad taste in their mouth for it. And so I think their first set, they under did a smaller print run than they should have, and they ended up selling out of everything right away, and you couldn't even get cards, and so they've remedied that and, like, done a reprint and all that kinda stuff, but, yeah, I think I think you're right. I think they've hit a good little niche. They have a good, kinda middle of the road mechanic, like, it's nothing groundbreaking. They've borrowed from, 5 different games to mix and match mechanics to create this game. But the thing that the reason that I'm into this game is because of the IP, right?
Yeah.
Like, are there better games mechanically than this game? Probably. I'll never know because I just don't have the time or money to invest into 10 different TCGs. But it's Star Wars, so it's fun, like, I get it, the characters you're playing, I know them, and it's fun to, like, play Darth Vader and have him force choke Han Solo or, like that, like, instead of just, like, some generic magical
Yep.
creature that I don't care about at all, does some spell that whatever, like, the IP, I get it, my kids get it, they enjoy like, they're into Star Wars, so that's why we ended up, kinda deciding this is the one thing that we're gonna get into.
Well, that's what I found. So Melissa and I just played uh, 2 nights ago, which was a lot of fun, and it
Did
was
she
just
enjoy it?
awesome. She did, yeah. She likes games, and so I think the biggest thing for her was just wrapping her mind around the mechanics. So then, by the time we were halfway through a test game, she got it, and then she was asking like strategy questions. It's like, oh dang it, I am not good enough with strategy stuff. It's like I don't
Not there yet.
just yeah, it's like I'm still like I'm past the learning of okay, this is how the mechanics work, but now thinking through how do I build a deck? What makes sense? I mean, that's one of the things I find really or okay, back to my what I was going to say though. The thing I like about the IP is that even with some of the events, so listeners, if you don't know much about tabletop card games, or this one in particular, there's different types of cards that you can have in your deck. You have your base card and your leader card, and those are the things that you kind of build your entire deck around, because there's colors and whether you're a good guy, bad guy. And so that is the basis for your entire deck strategy. And then you have your units, where you can have your land units on one side of the board, your space units on the other side, and they can only attack units on the other team in each respective arena. But the thing that then you also have upgrade cards, which not simple enough. They upgrade another card, but then they have the events. And so that was one of the things that was kind of fun, was when you have these different events, they then make sense based on Star Wars. Like if you've watched the movie, if you've read a book or whatever, they're pulling from Star Wars. So then the event actually is related. So then it makes sense. So it's not just, oh, this character does, or like you pull out, you can take a non-leader unit and put it back in their deck. There's actually, they pull from Star Wars lore
Yeah.
oftentimes in those events. And it's like, oh, that makes sense because we know that's actually what happened in the book. So I agree with you, Ben. There's something about the Star Wars IP, or just having the familiarity of Star Wars, that makes playing the game then feel way, way cooler. And I've never been super into TGCs, TCGs. But Melissa and I, we had gotten into this game, and I think I maybe mentioned it on a previous episode, but it's Hogwarts Battle. And it's just this game where you are working with 2 or 3 other people, and you're working against the game. So you're collaborating, co-oping, trying to take down the game. And so you have to build the cards, and you pull and you build a deck as you're playing. And it's fun and everything. But the thing I love about this is how you can have like unlimited options of, or like combinations of cards, and you can just constantly reassess and pull and change. And like that's the thing that, I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to be great at it, because I don't have first off, I'm not a very strategic mind. That's like, my mind is just not naturally bent to playing games like this. And I also just don't have the time. But that's the thing I find fascinating about it, though, is it's like you can make it play however you want,
Yeah.
which is interesting. So you're not bound by, oh, here are the 10 cards or 50 cards. You can just make a deck with really whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Like, you can even, depending how you kind of form your deck, you can have even, like, good guys and bad guys playing together and working together, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun.
How Ben, you know the game better than I do.
Yep.
How much like deep thought are you putting into like the relationship between cards and how you can compound cards together? Like, is that something that you're actively thinking about, or right now is it more a little bit more card by card, or how, what's your thought process when you're going into it?
Yeah, like, so when I play with my kids, the decks we make are more just fun and thematic, like, putting characters and cards together that just like that makes sense according to Star Wars lore, more than what makes sense according to what's the best deck to build. Now you can play this game online as well for free in a couple different places. Um, and so I've done that a few times, and so, obviously when you're doing that, you're playing against adults and trying to win. And so yeah, then you're more thinking about what cards actually work together, combos of cards that you can use to do different stuff. So um that again, that's one of the things I love about this game, is like you can do both and enjoy both. Like you can be super competitive, and spend some money and really make a high level top end deck and have fun doing that. And you can also just make fun decks and play with kids, and as an adult still enjoy that.
hmm that was the thing I enjoyed with Melissa, because I mean, she's not going to be sitting down and crafting her own deck. But if I hand her one that it's like, hey, here's a deck, we can play through it, she's totally on board with that. Like, she loves playing games. She's one of the most competitive people I know, which is hilarious. So like, even her and I just playing that, I ended up beating her, but it was like a test game. Who knows who would have actually won? But and even in that test game where I was like, hey, we're just learning the rules, she was still so mad that she lost. Because she figured it out about halfway through, and all of a sudden it started clicking, and then she started making decisions and doing things on her own. But that is why it is good. And honestly, I think it's Ben, like what you've done with your kids is, I think, why this kind of hobby is actually a great thing for even as a Christian men with kids is a good thing because it involves our kids. And
Yeah.
because my kids, like I said, when you gave me, I bought the starter same set that Nate bought, and then you gave me some cards, and I went and bought a couple booster packs and had the kids rip them open with me, and we're looking through the cards and reading them, and they see Darth Vader, and they just get super jazzed. It's like Darth Maul, here, Haddon's favorite character in Star Wars, and he's like, "What, Darth Maul?" And he's just like so now I'm gonna build a Darth Maul deck just so he can see me playing with Darth Maul, and so I think it's great because it actually is a thing that, we can get together and play seriously and actually have like a legitimate game, and it's competitive and it's fun, and or we can just sit down and goof around and
Yeah.
just look at cards or play a silly game with our kids.
Yeah, like, I have two of my boys are really, really into it and really, like, at the right kinda age to be enjoying it. Like, my one boy who's, almost 11, he's actually like, he plays it and he has fun, but he loves to just go through the cards, organize, like, put cards in the binder, figure out which cards were missing in the set, like, that he loves that side of it. And then I have a 7-year-old who, like, just wants to play it all the time, like, loves playing the game. So it, like, hits a lot of, uh, sweet spots for fathers and sons.
Nate, why do you think, because this is something I've been thinking about as I've been getting into this and enjoying it. Like, what is it about tabletop card games that people seem to like? Like, there's some like the people who get into it very seldom are just like a passive player. They're just like it comes. I know there's a dopamine hit. I mean, it's similar to loot boxes, right? Digital loot boxes in a video game. And it's even that
Like the
same thing when
original
you're.
loot boxes,
It
right? Like,
is like you're
Yeah, yeah.
physically opening, so it is something
So
like
I
that.
get
So I'm curious.
I
Yeah,
don't know
what do you
I don't know
guys
if you have
think?
an answer for this, Nate, but I am 100% certain I know the reason that this is.
Okay,
And
don't let us down.
it's a total Jesus juke, but I think it's a real one where, like, legitimately, like, God made man, he made Adam to take dominion, and he gave him the job of naming the animals and categorizing everything and gathering it together, and, like, and that's what you're doing, like, in the stupidest, simplest, like, not real way, but that instinct to go and name and categorize and organize and collect, and, like, that exists in men especially. And so, like, the ability to go and buy a pack of cards for a few dollars and rip it open, and, like, it's just like, there's something innate that's just, like, even as a adult, like, you just can't help but smile when you're ripping that thing open.
Yeah, and I think that that's a great answer. That wasn't on the tip of my tongue, so I'm glad you took that one from me. But yeah, exactly. I think that's why men, like whether it's baseball cards or hockey cards or Magic cards or Star Wars cards, I think that there is something about, like you said, categorizing and naming. But for me, like, because I actually did get quite competitive with Magic. Like I had a few decks that were featured in like what was called like the Wizards of the Coast magazine at the time and all that kind of stuff. Like I played in a bunch of tournaments. And for me, like as I think about it, think back to it, yes, I mean I wasted a lot of time and a lot of money in my teenage years doing that maybe wasn't fully wise. But there was a lot of good that came from it as well. And there is something about it's the Dominion mandate that Ben's talking about in terms of naming and categorizing and all that kind of stuff is there. But so too is the like figuring out what things are for, right? So like Adam's going out and he had to figure like, the call to take dominion meant that he was going to have to figure out that there was metal in the earth that God put there for him to mine out at some point. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's figuring out that
And then melting it and combining it with other elements and, like,
yeah.
yeah.
And discovering that you can eat the goop that comes out of the beehive, and that this spice, turmeric is a anti-inflammatory, and like
And this weird little thing that the chicken poops out every day with a hard shell on it is
can be
actually
deep,
really
can be
delicious. Yeah.
fried, yeah, can be put on a hard hot rock and and turned into an over easy egg. Yeah, but all those things are true. So I think what I love about these kinds of mechanical card games is that, like, figuring out what things are for. There's certain games, like I remember playing Magic, and there's certain cards that are just little common cards, 30 cents a card kind of thing. But when you combine it, when you unlock its potential, it becomes a really powerful card. And I remember some cards coming out in new sets, and I'm just like, why is that a rare? And then it's because you discover something in the next set that works well with it that makes that so powerful. So there's something about figuring out what things are for and figuring out different mechanics. And to be honest with you, the thing about trading card games as well, like I have no idea, so I'm going out on a limb here, but I imagine that Ben's boys are probably just like, give me the attackers and I'm going to go attack. But like, there's a sophistication that comes with understanding card games where there's probably, I don't know this card game as well because I just got the stuff the other day, but like I remember Magic, there's resource attack, there's hand
Yeah,
attack, right? There's
100%.
yeah, there's
Yeah,
all this other
there's
stuff.
control decks, there's aggressive decks, there's
Mhm.
mill decks where you're just trying to mill their deck down, and like there's all kinds of different strategies, and it's the like classic rock paper scissors of, okay, well maybe the aggressive deck seems like it's the like the meta deck of choice right now, and everybody's using that. It's the one winning all the tournaments. Okay, well then now people are going to start building decks that are anti-aggressive decks that beat that deck. But then, okay, well, what is that deck vulnerable to? And so it's just this like constant cycle of trying to find the best deck that can that's good
The
enough
one
against
deck to rule
everything,
them
like the
all.
one deck to rule them all, yeah. And, so it's real, like, I actually find that interesting, like, I'll never spend the money to ever really have one of those, like, uber, like, meta decks, but it's fun to kinda keep up with and just see what is the decks of choice and the characters of choice and stuff that seem to be winning the day. But I would say this game in particular does a really good job of making like some of the more common and cards useful, and not just like total trash. So like that's been really nice and really fun to feel like when you do rip open a pack, you are getting something that you can slip into your deck, like almost guaranteed every time.
And going back to your point about the IP, like the fact that this is Star Wars, I mean, Judah wouldn't have got into this if it wasn't Star Wars. Like that's what kind
Yeah,
of got him in.
totally.
But like we've all talked about how, the things that we loved as kids, you like passing those things on to your kids. Like I remember how disappointed I was when Judah didn't like G.I. Joe. Right. So that when we get to pass on things that we love, like our kids are learning things about us and about our childhood, and it's that multi-generational sort of thing. And it seems silly to say that you can do that with Star Wars, trading cards, but you can do that with anything. And I think more than anything, I think the reason Judah loves Star Wars is because I love Star Wars.
Mhm.
And that's what started it. And then he got into it for himself. And then you transfer that to like this playing card game. There's just something about it that brings us together in a way that it's just father-son bonding, and it's not every day is a sunny day. So yes, it's great to go out and throw the ball around and play road hockey, and we do all those things. But
Yeah, but
there's
we live in
plenty of
Canada.
Yeah.
plenty of rainy days where it is wonderful to sit and play this with our kids indoors. So yeah, it's great.
And I think in, knowing Josh who does this a lot, he plays with his kids a lot, and his experience is that it this really does these types of games really foster problem-solving skills, helping kids think about implications of things. Well,
Yeah.
like, if this,
Choices.
then,
Yeah.
and
I've had
because
so many
really it's
conversations with my 7-year-old. Well, he started playing this when he was just turned 6. And yeah, like of just like, okay, buddy, like you can do this, but if you do this, here's what I'm gonna do. So do you still want it? Like, do you still think it's a good idea to do that? And like sometimes he's like, yeah, heck yeah, and like and then he reaps the consequences, and sometimes you can like see the wheels. He's like, okay, yeah, no, you're
yeah.
right. I'm gonna do this instead, and yeah, it's a great way to uh I was gonna say in real life, but not at all in real life.
Yeah.
Like you can visually see the consequences of an action in real
Right.
time and like make those choices. It's great.
Yeah.
But I would liken this to teaching our kids how to deal with fear by letting them read a scary book or watching a scene
The
of a movie that's a little bit scary, where it's like, this is a safe place to do that. Well, guess what? I'd rather my kid learn that, putting a droid up against or a Republic commando up against Grievous one on one. It's like, you sure you want to do this? Okay, well, you're gonna now. It's like that's a consequence that this isn't a real consequence, right?
Yeah.
And versus having them get in the world, because I think I sincerely believe one of the biggest problems that people have now, not even just the next generation, but even our generation, is a lack of problem solving skills and critical thinking and
Yep.
developing, because our hands were held and you weren't really taught to think on your own. And like the number of people who have come to me and say, "Hey, how do I do this?" It's like, have you even tried going to Google one time? And then, well, no, I came to you. It's like, okay, go to Google once, and I promise you, you'll get an answer. It's like you don't have to come to me. And I think this is such a great way of teaching our kids that. And I think like Josh, he's kind of a military minded guy. He was in the reserves. He was, on track to go in the military before things changed in his life. But he's now a successful kind of a retail executive, and I think he would say that a lot of his skills and strategies have come from developing a mind for it playing these games, because he's had to
um,
think about, because you whether you realize it or not, when you're playing a card game like this, you're actually learning war strategy in some ways. Like, it's simple, not like advanced, but you realize that even in this game, it's like, oh, you have your space front and you have your land front, and you have to make sure, like, if he's over here, well, do you want him to completely just dominate you, or no, you're not going to leave that uncontested. So now you have to think about, how am I going to deploy my units to go and make sure, and I have to protect my base. Well, how much do I want to protect my base? It's like all these different things that you have to think about that are teaching you how to understand challenges from different angles and everything. It's actually, I
I mean,
think, more profound.
it's the same reason that chess was viewed as like the game of kings.
Yeah.
Like kings played chess to learn war strategy.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, like any of these games where you're thinking, like, multiple steps ahead, like, trying to think about what your opponent is going to do, therefore, I'm gonna do this to negate what he's going to do, like, there's just there's a lot of good, like you say, just critical thinking going on without being like, "Okay, kids, now we're gonna open up your critical thinking,
Yeah.
curriculum, and we're gonna
Mhm.
learn critical thinking skills." It's just, like, learning by doing, which is
Yep.
always better.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Ben, do you have a favorite card that comes to the top of your mind right now?
Ooh,
Is
a favorite card. I wish you would have asked me. I probably would have been prepared. I just did get we got a couple binders to finally start organizing our cards, so I do have some cards here, but a favorite. So is a favorite looking card, or because that's one of the other things I love about this game is some of the artwork is
Mhm.
legitimately beautiful, like
Yeah.
gorgeous.
I
I
Some
agree.
I
of
actually
some of
really
it's
appreciated that it wasn't just taken out of the movies or
like
Yeah.
still
yeah,
shots from the movie, yeah, and
yeah, I
so
thought
they have, like,
original
multiple
artwork's great.
artists that they have, doing the artwork on them. Some of them are better than others, some of them are kinda goofy, but some of them are just awesome. I don't know if I don't know, I couldn't tell you, I guess, if I had a favorite card. I think my favorite, style of deck to play is so typically you have, like, aggressive decks on one side, control decks on one side, then you have sort of like mid-rangey decks in the middle. And those are the style of decks I like to play. So it's if you're um once you get into the game, that's more like the blue and green colors.
Mm.
Where red's the more aggressive. Like a strict blue is more control and sort of like blue, green, yellow in the middle. So anyway, those are my favorite ones to play. My favorite deck that I have is a Bosk leader deck, which like uses bounties and you can go and like capture opponents and put bounties on their heads and stuff like that, which is really fun. So there's just like so many fun fun, like, Star Wars-y thematic things that you can do. Like, you can put Han Solo in carbonite, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
Just it's great.
I'm very excited because Devin, who's one of the guys in our Discord who also goes to our church, has fallen hard for this.
Did he?
And
Oh,
oh
nice.
yeah. So he's now not only bought the starter packs, but he bought a full box of booster
A
packs.
full booster box.
A full 24 pack. It's like, oh, so he's in. He's there. And so I think what we need to now do, and listeners, if you're in the area of our church, then join the Discord and you can be part of what we're going to be planning is an in-person draft night, which whether we do the buy the packs or not, I kind of think it would be fun to maybe do that and just like commit on like 1 month, do a draft, which listeners, if you don't know what a draft is, it's essentially everybody buys, I think it's like 3 packs of cards. Is that what it is?
In this
3 depends on
game,
the number.
yeah, it depends. Typically, it's 6, actually.
Oh, okay. So that's a
But
little bit more.
that's when you do it. It depends. You can do it different ways. So, like,
Okay.
6 is the most you would have to buy, but yeah,
Is it cheaper per pack if you buy the booster box?
much. Yeah,
So
pretty
that's what you
significantly.
okay. So if we did a night, you just buy a booster box and then
Split
split
it
the
up.
packs up. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So and then essentially what you do is just everybody rips a pack, you take the card you want, pass it to the next guy, and you go around until all those cards are gone, and then you build yourself a deck and you play through it. So I'm guessing that's similar. I know Flesh and Blood does that. I'm guessing Magic does similar
Typically
things
in
like
this
that.
game,
Oh, yeah,
they don't
Magic
actually do
Magic,
the,
that
like,
was
take a card, pass it on. Usually you just get X number of packs, rip them, and you make
And build a deck.
So normally this game is a 50 card deck. When you do a like a draft night like that, you usually just do a 35 card deck.
Okay.
So you just make a 35 card, 35 card minimum. You can be whatever you want, but 35 because in this game there's penalties for, like, if your cards
It
don't match
if
up color
it's
wise and
anything
stuff.
if it's anything like Magic, I remember there were drafts where it's 8 players, 3 decks or 3 packs per person, so you have a 45 cards that you end up opening, and you basically play with 40 of them. But there's also sealed. Sealed would be each person buys X number of packs, and then
Yeah.
you construct your own deck with the packs that you opened.
Yeah.
So there's a
That's
few
the more typical way to do this that I've seen people doing this one, but you totally could do a take a card, pass it on type
Right.
draft. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll make up our own total play style.
Yeah.
The
Well, I know we were
Reforming
talking about because Ben's got just crazy amount of cards, so like we could even just use his one night, and because I know there's some other people I know who want to play, and they just might not want to be getting into spending the money right now.
Right.
So either way, we'll make that happen and we're gonna do an in-person Star Wars Unlimited night, which will be fun. But then also Ben and I were just chatting because when I was away in Toronto last weekend, he sent me the link a while back to the online version. So somebody built a version where it has like the full card database on there. You can just click, play the Ahsoka Tana or the Grievous deck or the ones that come pre-built that you
Yeah.
could buy
You can make
as a
your own
pre-built
too.
deck. Yeah, you can, but I just use the ones that I have just to,
Yeah.
and it worked great. So you can get online and play with somebody. You can play by yourself against AI, which is just what I did for like an hour or so when I was just lying in my hotel room, which was fun.
Jordan playing with AI. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sounds right.
I had it was great. I had the Oilers game on. I was sitting there playing Star Wars Unlimited online. It was a lot of fun. So what we're thinking is because so many of our listeners are not local to our church. We do have a number of people at our church who are in our Discord and who listen, but a number of people don't. So what we're thinking is maybe putting together for those, if we in the comments of this video, or if you're joining our Discord or in the Discord already, let us know if you might be interested. But you can get into the game and play without owning any cards because you can go online and you can just play for free, which is great.
Yeah.
So
which is
we'll even
zero investment to see whether or not you like it.
exactly. Yeah. Learn the mechanics,
Well, and even if you do, because I mean, like, there's something to be said for, like, real tangible, like, having the cards. Like, it is a different experience, obviously. So, but you can still, like, the online version is still great for just, like, play testing decks and figuring out what deck you wanna, put a little bit of money into trying to get, and. So, there's benefit to both. And also,
Yeah.
like you said, you can play people that don't live down the street.
Yep. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm pumped. My problem though now is, I mean, you guys know I have an addictive personality, so when I get into something, it's just like all in. And now it's taken everything in me not to just like every day be like, you know what? It's just $6 for a pack. I'm just gonna go.
Just another
I'm just gonna go. And it's like, but do I really want to buy 10 packs of these cards a week?
Like 2 weeks from now, we're gonna
Yes,
go
you do.
record, and Jordan will be like, "Sorry guys, I'm in Vegas at the championship.
Yeah.
Gonna stream live."
That would be fun. Maybe one day. But you know what? Ben and I were talking, and maybe this is something we could do for a live stream at some point. Was actually just record ourselves playing a game because it'd be fun. It's a lot of fun if you can. I mean, yeah, if you have people in your church, if you're listening, and you guys are nerds, like yeah, maybe try it out. Even if you can't play with us in person, you know, if you can find a group of people to get into it, it's we definitely have a lot of fun, and we can then in our Discord, what we want to do is have a league of some kind where we can then have a leaderboard and we can actually have a bit of a round robin type thing where we play. And because that's, I don't know, these kinds of things are always fun. And this is a way to try to do something that's not just hopping on consoles, but a thing that we can do. And because it's, I believe that platform even allows you to spectate. So other people can come in and watch.
Yeah.
You can chat while you're playing. Other people can do it. So it's just a lot of fun. It's really good. So anyways, I think that's something that, yeah, we're hoping to see this last. Ben, do you think this has staying power?
So they are on currently their 4th set of cards. Their 5th one is coming out in July. They have 12 already, like, ready to go to the printer. So
Cool.
at minimum, it's got 7 more sets in it. And if it keeps like literally it like just keeps selling out. So if that
Yeah.
keeps happening, I'm sure that they will keep printing them.
Well, and we even saw with those tokens that we got for playing.
Yeah.
Those things are almost impossible to find anywhere. I just
Yeah.
happened to find some random store
It's
in
like Quebec or something.
well, so there was two. There was one in Quebec and then there was one, I think it was like Richmond Hill, and they shipped it because it was like $10 to ship it. So I was like, okay, well, whatever. I want these. And yeah. But because they keep selling out everywhere. So obviously unless they're just scarcity and shipping or manufacturing like one box at a time, it seems like it's popular enough. So I think we're probably safe. But you know what? It's even the type of thing where you build up enough cards, even if they pulled the plug on this after 12 seasons,
There's a
I-
lot of
I'm still playing it.
there's a lot of playability for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like it's not like they just did one set and called it.
That's
So,
one of the really
yeah.
fun things about a TCG like that is like all of a sudden everyone will assume like these are the top 5 decks, and then some deck will just come out of nowhere that no one has thought of yet. Like no one thought to put these cards together, and it clobbers everybody. And so like there's just
Well,
with
and to
the
be honest
number
with
of
you,
cards, there's just like an infinite number of possibilities.
well, that's one of the things that kind of makes me very curious about this deck. So again, with my experience in Magic, there's 5 colors, and generally you're not playing more than 2 colors in a deck, unless you're doing some sort of funky mana stuff to, like, certain sets had dual lands and all that kind of stuff where you could get more. But generally, the more you spread out, the more you could get kind of mana screwed in terms of not having the color of the spell that you wanted to play. But in this one, there are different colors, like Ben said, but generally that has to do with it seems to have more to do with its theme than how you play it, because the resources, that you use can cast anything. So all that to say that the combinations are kind of endless with this. Every card can interact with every other card, which is not like Magic at all. So I find that even, I don't know much, I didn't do Pokemon, but again, like you had like your fire types and your, I don't know, lightning types and all that kind of stuff. So you needed the kind of energy to go on the kind that you had. This seems kind of limitless in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, somewhat. Like so in this one there's 6 colors, and you can have 3 of them in any given deck. And but it could be any 3. You know what I mean? Like you could have blue, green, red, you could have blue, yellow, red, blue, um
But you
so
can
yeah,
you can have any other card if you really want to. It's
yes.
just going to cost you more. So
Yeah, so you can
it'll
have
just cost it. Yeah.
yeah, you can't have cards in your deck that don't match your deck's colors. You just have to pay a penalty to use it. So it really is limitless that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, boys, anything else you want to say about Star Wars? Ben, I know you had something you were wanting to announce to our listeners. I don't know if you want to do that before we wrap up.
Star Wars related, just an update. So because we, well, I don't know, it's been a long time. We announced that we were going to give this book away, The Things of Earth by Joe Rigney, which it's a great book. It says a lot of the things that we like to say in regards to just like enjoying the world God has made and the world that God has put you in, including things like Star Wars customizable card games. And so we told everybody, everybody that joins Discord within such and such a time, we'd put you in a draw to get to win this book. However, Canon Press, it was like out of print. We couldn't get it from Canon. The guy that we get books from Canon in Canada, like he couldn't get them. Anyway, we live in Canada and it takes forever to ship stuff. So we finally got it like 3 months later. So now we are going to give everybody another week. Anyone who joins Discord before next episode drops, we will add you into the pool of everyone that joined Discord. When we first made this announcement, put everybody in a pool, and we'll send somebody a copy of The Things of Earth by Mr. Joe Rigney.
Doctor.
Good doctor.
Important distinction. Yeah. Alrighty, well, there you have it, listeners. Get a free book, possibly. And if you get into Star Wars, you'll have a lot of joy in your life.
That's true.
Just do that. Well, all right. Well, listeners, again, thank you for listening. Just a reminder that you can find all of our stuff on podcast services, watch our videos on YouTube. We did upload our second episode of the Conversations by Stormlight. We will be uploading episode 3. For those who don't know, that's Nate and Ben working their way through the Stormlight archive and talking about it. We've already had some really positive feedback about that, so go check that out. It's only for our patrons. So if you go over to Patreon and sign up, you get access to that. We'll be uploading, episode 3 likely this week or early next. And I don't know, do you guys have any idea on how many episodes you're doing, or is that just going to keep going until you run out of it?
Well, we're still in book 1. We haven't gone through all the story arcs in book 1, and I just finished book 3. So, we got lots in us. I don't know. We could easily do 15.
Roughly a million.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, limitless content. So, okay. Well, go check that out. And also, listeners, just want to shout out to our sponsor, Cosmos Coffee. Make sure to check them out. Use the coupon code Reforming Nerdom to get a discount on your coffee. But until next time, stay nerdy.